Welcome back to Next Shift with Rick Wagan. Suzuki does not suck. This is the Sunday afternoon show after the Montreal Canadiens lose 1-0 to the Calgary Flames. The Montreal Canadiens came out pretty flat the first period and a half. The Canadiens lost 1-0. They definitely pushed hard to get their first goal of the game. The Canadiens, unfortunately, were unable to beat Dustin Wolf, candidate for Rookie of the Year in Calder. Lane Hutson is also a candidate for the Calder Trophy. Played one of his better games. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the puck past Dustin Wolf or allow any of his teammates to do so as well. Patrick Laine did not play the game. He was under the weather or ill or sick, so he was unfortunately unable to play. Pezzeta did slot in at his spot initially. Shortly after that, Martin St. Louis switched Anderson from the line of Dvorak over to play on the wing with Newhook and Beck. Heineman took a shot from Savard early in the game and actually got some stitches around his ear area. He missed about a half a period in that case. All in all, the Canadiens did their best to tie the game. They are still 2 points behind in the playoff spot. They're behind a slew of teams that are kind of fighting for those last two spots in the wild card. More and more like the three teams of Toronto, Tampa, and Florida are going to take the Atlantic Division top three spots. So the Canadiens are fighting for two spots with a bunch of teams. Ultimately, the Devils, who just won today against Philadelphia Flyers, are quite a few points up. I think they're close to 8 points ahead of the Montreal Canadiens right now. Columbus Blue Jackets, Ottawa Senators, Boston Bruins, New York Rangers, Montreal Canadiens are all kind of fighting for some spots. The Islanders and Flyers are not too far behind. Pittsburgh and Buffalo are definitely falling off the ledge. So we'll see how it goes. The Canadiens are in the mix, which is all you can ask for in a rebuilding team in year 3. I can say this, obviously you can't control illness and sickness. Some players play under those circumstances. I don't know what circumstance Patrick Laine was in. Without him playing, however, again, I think if you go back to some of the things I've been saying about the Lions playing together, they had to juggle the lines. And I don't know if they had to juggle the lines. And I will call out that one call by Martin St. Louis to bring Anderson onto the line of Newhook and Beck. It did actually create a lot of opportunities, and Josh Anderson probably had the most opportunities to score goals in the game last night. He didn't play a bad game by any means, but I think losing Anderson on the line of Dvorak and Gallagher made that line much weaker. Unfortunately, that second line that I just talked about, even though they had a lot of chances, didn't score. And the only two lines that were kind of static were the first line and the line of Dvorak. I was going to say the fourth line, but they're not the fourth line. The line of Evans, Armia, and Heineman. It also left a hole in the power play, which the Canadiens decided to put Armia on the power play to replace Laine, but they had Cole Caulfield on the left side for the one-timer. Definitely didn't look or appear to be as good a power play. What I did also notice in the last couple of games now, Martin St. Louis is playing Suzuki on both power plays, so he stays on for the entire 2 minutes, which I do like, actually. You see that on teams with their best players, McDavid or McKinnon or some other teams, that they just keep those players on for the whole 2 minutes. So I do like that call. I didn't like the Anderson move, and what that did was it kind of screwed up all the lines. And when you were watching the game, if it wasn't the first line or the Evans line, it didn't feel like they really were going to score. That being said, again, Anderson did have some opportunities. He just didn't put the puck in the net. Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky, I thought they played a pretty solid game. They generated a lot of chances. Dustin Wolf was just on, and sometimes you just run into a goalie that's on, and that was the case last night. So again, I'm not overly upset with the game. I thought the Canadiens could have won that game, and they played probably better than some of the other games that they've been in. But unfortunately, they didn't get the puck in the net, and 0 goals is not going to win you very many games in the NHL. In fact, it'll probably win you 0. The Canadiens need to find their scoring touch again on Tuesday night when they play against the Vancouver Canucks, and then they go back-to-back and they play in Seattle. So those are 2 big games. They need to win one, and it would be really, really good if they can win both of those games. The Canadiens are now at 66 points, tied with the Detroit Red Wings, tied with the Boston Bruins, 2 points behind the Rangers, 2 points behind the Blue Jackets, who are slotted in the second wild card spot, 3 points behind the Ottawa Senators, and like I said, 8 points behind the New Jersey Devils, who have a slew of important injuries, including Jack Hughes. The Islanders have 65 points and the Flyers have 62. That loss this afternoon to Devils was probably pretty bad for the Flyers. They are now at 62 points, 6 points back, but they played 65 games, so they played 3 more games than Columbus and or Ottawa. So it's feeling more and more like Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and now maybe the Flyers are falling out of it, and the Islanders are still in it, the Bruins as well, although they played a few more games. Nothing else to report other than I will say Jacob Dobich played a solid game in nets. That one goal he let in wasn't his fault. It does seem like most of the goals that go in on him are on the glove side. Keep your eye on that. I will throw it another kudos. I thought Mike Matheson played a very solid game. That's 2 games in a row that he's played very well. When Mike Matheson plays well and a little bit more secure with the puck, you'll see that he'll help the team. And so I think he's done a good job. The Canadiens are playing a solid defensive style hockey. They just don't need to fall into this no goal thing. So I'm still optimistic. 2 points back. Canadiens are going to Vancouver. Big game. I'm hopeful they're going to win. I'm going to call the score to be 3-2 in overtime. I think the games are getting closer and closer and lower scoring. So we'll keep the game close and we'll call it a 3-2 win in overtime. I'm not sure who's going to start. I know they'll probably split the starts between Montembeault and Dobich over the next 2 games. I don't think it matters who's in nets for that perspective. So let's see how it goes. Again, I wasn't the biggest fan of the moves of changing 2 lines. Maybe just leave Pezzeta with Beck and Newhook and maybe double shift some players into that line if you don't want Pez to get as much ice time. That would have been my approach, but it looked like they were kind of moving all over the place. And again, when Heineman went down, it was more difficult because then you lost 2 wingers and it would be just too difficult to kind of keep the lines together. Interesting game. It was good hockey, good defensive hockey, a lot of opportunities on both ends, a lot of good goaltending. A lot of good defense, a lot of good structure. Just wished a couple of pucks went in. The first thing that comes to mind is that great play by Caulfield to get a breakaway or a semi-breakaway, and he just missed the top shelf by a couple inches. There was a few other great opportunities. Anderson had a couple. Newhook had one. Suzuki had a couple. Just didn't go in the net. Sometimes that happens. So looking forward to the next game. Just wanted to kind of touch base with you all. And Tuesday night in Vancouver, a late game for those of you on the East Coast. So hope you guys stay up and watch the game. I look forward to it. And that's it for me. That's it for Next Shift. Suzuki doesn't suck. Talk to you guys soon.